Hi, welcome to today's Yin Vin flow. For today's practice, you are going to want a block, which Teton is currently covering, or a shoebox will work just fine, and a bolster or a pillow will work just fine. And we're going to start in a reclined position. Make sure your props are within reaching distance. You might use either one of them here. We'll just see which one feels best. Reminder for our yin shapes, we hold these shapes for a longer amount of time. So we're only coming to about 60 or 70% of our edge. As you make your way to your back body, you can start with soles of the feet on the mat. And we'll come into a supported bridge. So you can play around here with which prop feels best. If you typically use a block in supported bridge and more active flows, I might suggest here using the block at its lower setting. If that still doesn't feel soft enough in the body, play with this shape with the bolster under your sacrum as your support. Again, take your time here. Don't feel like you have to settle into stillness right away. Get yourself set up. Once you feel like the props are supporting you in the right way, allow yourself to settle into stillness. Now, I tend to keep my soles of the feet on the mat, but if it feels okay, you can extend your legs long. That can feel good to open up the front of the hips, but if it adds unwanted or uncomfortable pressure to the low back, walk your feet back in. Hands resting where they feel most comfortable. Allow yourself to soften into stillness as you hold the shape. If your legs are extended long, start to walk them in towards the body. Lifting your hips just high enough to slide whatever prop you are using out from under you. Lowering the hips back down to the mat. You might bring the knees into the chest for a brief moment, maybe rocking side to side or taking some knee circles here. allowing yourself to move nice and gently. Slowly press up to a seated position, either pressing into elbows to lift the upper body or rolling off to one side or the other. We'll come into a half saddle, which I like to create a little ramp behind my body for some more support here. So I bring the bolster lengthwise, then I'm gonna bring the block, just supporting the top to give us a little angle, a little more support. Teton's in a hard spot to see this. As you're ready, we're gonna do just half saddle, so only one leg at a time. Keep your right leg extended long first, then bend your left knee so that heel comes back by your glute. Now I have a little more space here. I'm gonna pull my heel a little further away from my body so the calf isn't quite as tight into the thigh. And now you may stay right here seated. You might slowly lower back to hands or even forearms on the mat. Or if the bolster feels supportive, you can rest back into the bolster. Again, adjusting. Some bodies may want to go deeper and you can get rid of the block under the bolster. Wherever you choose to be. Hands rest where they feel comforting. Eyes soften or close. Breathe here. When you're ready, we'll release out of the shape the same way we got in, nice and slow. Begin to press into the elbows first, then lift the upper body off the bolster, extending your leg long. You might take a moment here. I pedal out the legs a bit in between sides, nothing too vigorous, just a little movement. Then bend your right knee. Again, right heel pulls towards the glute, but my heel doesn't touch my body. I have a good like handprint between my heel and my body here. And then begin to slowly extend, Maybe you sit right here. Maybe you come down to the forearms or rest into the bolster. It doesn't have to match what you did on the other side. Honoring what feels best for your body here. Breathe here. Take your time as you begin to move once again. Slowly bringing palms to the floor. Elbows press into the floor and then press the upper body up. Coming out of that reclined position, extend the right leg long. Again, you can pedal out the legs here. It might feel good to take a moment folding over the extended legs, wherever you choose to be. As you're ready, we'll make our way to child's pose, the last of our yin shapes before we get into some more movement. Bringing your soles of the feet, your heels behind you. Toes touch, knees as wide or as narrow as feels good for you. Then extend your arms forward, resting the forehead down on the mat. Or I like palms under the forehead. That feels good in my shoulders. If this feels a little too intense in the hips, you can always play with bringing a bolster between your hips and your heels, giving yourself a little more space. Again, reminder, we'll hold this for a little longer. So get yourself nice and comfy. Find some softness in the shape. Breathe here. Come back to your breath. Slowly begin to press your upper body out of the shape. And then walking your hands behind you, press the hips up towards the sky, almost like a mini camel. You can sit the hips back down, releasing that bolster if you were using it. Walk your hands forward for child's pose. Breathe in and out. Walk the hands back towards the body, hands behind the toes. Lift the hips, engage the glutes. Then lower the hips. Walk the hands forward. Child's pose once again. Breathe in and out. Walk your hands back in. Last round, if you want it, you can skip it if it doesn't feel great in your low back. Lift the hips, then lower the hips. Walking the hands forward to a tabletop. Hands are under shoulders, knees under hips. On an inhale, drop your belly button, lift your tailbone, look up. Exhale, round your spine, press away from the mat. Inhale, belly drops, gaze lifts. Exhale, rounds the spine. A few more rounds and you can keep going with this pattern. You can also add in side stretches or maybe some more time in child's pose. Really any movement that feels good to warm up your spine, your shoulders, your hips. Pausing next time you come back to a neutral spine. Looking down between the hands. Extend your left leg long, toes off the mat, heel presses behind you. Then swing that left foot off to the left side of the mat. Toes point forward. A bit of a gait variation here. As you're ready, shift forward over the wrists. Then shift your weight back towards the heel. Inhale to shift forward. Exhale, shift back. Give yourself a few more rounds working with your pace of breath. I like to tuck my back toes, adds in a bit of a plantar stretch for the sole of the foot. But if that doesn't feel great for you, of course you don't have to do it. Pausing next time you come back to neutral. Left knee comes under the hip. Other side. Extend your right leg long behind you, toes off the mat. Then right foot swings off the mat, toes point forward. Tuck the left toes, sink the hips back towards the heels or towards Teton, he is right there. Then extend forward. Keep working with your pace of breath. Notice if all your weight wants to shift to that left foot. See if you can keep a little weight in the right foot that's extended. Teton is completely unbothered by being hit by my thigh every half second. Pause. Next time you're over the wrists, bring right knee back under the mat. Untuck the toes. Sit back on your heels for a moment in Virasana, hero's pose. Breathe in and out. Walk the hands forward about a handprint. Tuck the toes and lift your hips up and back for down dog. Can pedal out your legs here or shift the hips side to side. Taking some time. Inhale, bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, step or hop to the top of the mat. Inhale, half lift, squeeze the shoulder blades. Exhale, fold, hang heavy. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, root through your feet, reach tall. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, palms press up. Exhale, side stretch to the right. You can always drop right hand down if that feels better in your shoulder. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, side stretch, opposite direction. Inhale, come back to center. Engage the glutes. Then elbows pull down for cactus. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, hinge at your hips, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, plant your hands, step or hop back to plank position. Inhale in plank. Exhale, lower all the way down to the mat. Untuck your toes, hands back by hips. Inhale, lift for locust. Hips press into the mat, everything else lifts. Exhale, back down. We'll do that twice more. Inhale, hips press into the mat, back body engages. Exhale, back down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, back down. Hands under shoulders. Inhale, press up to your plank, toes or knees. Exhale, hips up and back, downward facing dog. Handful of breaths here. You can hold down dog in stillness. Maybe you take tabletop or a seat or child's, wherever you choose to be. Personally, I'm going to sweep some of the dog hair off of the mat. Maybe try to get Teton to go to his bed, which is available right over there, buddy. Wherever you are, you're welcome to stay in a place of rest if that feels better, or shift back to a down dog if you're not already there and you're continuing to flow. Inhale, sweep right leg to the sky. Exhale, bend the right knee, open the hip towards the right. Then add in some knee circles here. Knee swings forward, or circles forward, I should say. Making the circles as big as feels good and works for your hip mobility. Switching directions here. Noticing if your weight is shifting to the left hand rather than both. See if you can even it out. Extend the right leg long. Inhale, shift forward, one-legged plank. Exhale, hips up and back, three-legged dog. Once more, inhale, shift forward, one-legged plank. Exhale, hips up and back, three-legged dog. Right foot comes back to the mat. Breathe in and out. Inhale, sweep left leg to the sky. Exhale, bend the left knee, hip opens towards the left, scorpion dog. Then add in those knee circles, going one direction first, not rushing to get in as many circles as possible, but making them nice and big. Switching directions. No matter how many times I do these, they always feel nice and challenging. Extend left leg long. Shift forward, one-legged plank. Inhale, lift up and back, three-legged dog. Shift forward, one-legged plank. Up and back, three-legged dog. Left foot back to the mat. Breathe in and out. Inhale, bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, step or hop to the top of the mat. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, hang heavy. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, root through your feet, reach tall. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, arms reach up, you can look up. Exhale, forward fold, hinge at the hips. Inhale, half lift, airplane arms, squeeze the shoulder blades. Exhale.